Progress test. File 6 to 10. Listening 1. Speaker 1. I have about 350 dolls, and they even have their own room. I've picked them up over the years in the various places I've visited, and even though they're not worth lots of money or anything, I'm really proud of my collection. I love it when other collectors travel a long way just to admire mine. That's the best feeling, and I think it's something only fellow collectors understand. Speaker 2.
Our living room's full of our local pottery. It's famous all over the world, and I feel so proud that it comes from our little town. It's pretty plain, but each piece costs quite a bit. I don't mind all that, though, because it really looks great in our cabinet, and everyone admires it.
Speaker 3.
Well, I've lived all over the place due to my father's job. And when I was little, I started collecting postcards, one from everywhere I lived or had a vacation. I have hundreds of them now, and they're all nicely filed in albums. Taking them out to show my friends is not really my thing, but every time I look at them, all those wonderful memories come flooding back like I was in some of those places just yesterday. And that's a special thing.
Speaker 4.
I collect old cameras, and I have about 80 of them now. Some of them are still in perfect working order, so in theory, you could take some great photos with them, I suppose. What's most satisfying for me, though, is the fact that several of these cameras were almost impossible to find. But I didn't give up and got my hands on them eventually.
Speaker 5.
I've been collecting stamps since I was in elementary school, and I have 1,000 now. Some people think it's a really boring thing to do, but I think it's great. I'm really happy with the fact that I have so many unusual stamps, because they're not easy to get your hands on. And best of all, I'll be laughing all the way to the bank, because this collection's apparently now worth a small fortune, and it'll go up even more.
Progress test. File 6 to 10. Listening 2.
With the winter ski season fast approaching, I'm joined in the studio today by local athlete Helen Mathers, who's just turned professional in snowboarding. Helen, thanks for coming in today to talk to us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us, how did you get into snowboarding in the first place?
It all started several years ago now, when we went on our yearly family winter vacation. I've always been competitive and want to do really well at anything I do. And my older brother was into snowboarding in a big way. And my dad was hot on his heels. And I'm never one to be left out, so, the rest is history, as they say. I knew that there was no interest around these parts, as there was no team, but I was hoping that'd change. So, yeah, I went for it.
There must have been a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah. I started from scratch.
And I imagine you're continually learning. What do you recommend for learning new tricks?
Well, there's a lot of stuff on social media sites that you can watch anytime you want. And that's really useful. Not necessarily the best thing to do, though, as you're not seeing it firsthand. For getting good advice, I'd say talking to a professional snowboarder is the way to go. People think they can always just modify the moves they already know. Mind you, they're not entirely new moves then.
What do you enjoy most about snowboarding, Helen?
I love lots of things about it. You know, all the effort I have to put into it, being out there in nature, practicing and practicing until I get something right, all of that. Above all, though, the chance to up my game, so to speak, and improve all the time. That's really satisfying.
Presumably you're not self-taught, and you took a course or something?
That's right, I did. It wasn't long after the family vacation I mentioned earlier, actually. Anyway, I was there, getting on with it, you know, working hard on learning the basics and so on, when I was approached and invited to go on one of the courses they offered there. And by way of motivation, They said I'd have a role helping out the coaches in a local resort as soon as I finished. So I went for it.
What a great opportunity. So what's next for you, Helen?
Good question. Well, there'll always be opportunities to teach snowboarding. The thing is, I've been doing that for a few years now, so I'm trying to take a step back from that side of things.
Ah,
I intend to get into it all on more of an international scale, the Winter Games and stuff. And that means that doing any further study will have to wait for a while, unfortunately.
well, Helen, best of luck for the future. I'm sure we haven't heard the last of you.
Oh, thanks very much.